And first I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you you look like a '90s rap album cover right now.
This guy.
You looking real suave debonair right now, I would say myself, sir.
Hey man, I appreciate it.
You got the glasses working, you got the taco meat out, the chains, the layers,
Hey, let
right?
me live, bro. Let me live.
Hey, listen. I'm jealous. I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up. That's all. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be the man that you are every single day. Every single day, I'm trying to be the guy that just shows up looking like an absolute G. An absolute G. It really is a pleasure. It's a
I
pleasure.
give it my
It's a
best,
pleasure to
man.
watch you work.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to watch you work. I don't have you for long, but I've got you up until the start of the hour, and I don't want to
All
waste our
good.
time.
For sure.
Um, it's an interesting draft, right? It's an interesting draft
Absolutely.
in the sense of there's a lot of talent in a lot of places, and a at quarterback, at wide receiver, at offensive line, I think there's an abundance of talent on the offensive side.
For
Quarterback,
sure.
wide receiver, offensive line. You played receiver, a little running back, but you're in our world. You played a little receiver.
Yeah.
I played receiver. I want to talk about the receivers, but I don't want to talk about Malik Neighbors. I don't want to talk about um, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't even want to talk about Rome Odunze or any of those guys that we think are going to go in the first round. I want you to give me some day two guys, some guys that we should be looking for on day two that are going to be instrumental, on a team come next year. Some guys that could have been first round picks if it wasn't one of the deepest drafts we've seen at the position that are
Absolutely.
probably going to fall to day two. Who are some guys that you're looking at?
Man, I'm gonna give you my number one guy that I absolutely love, and it's just really, really hard to watch film on him and just like pick out a flaw. It's like it's almost unfair. It's like you're nitpicking at this point. And that guy for me is Jermaine Burton. Big fan of his, man. The way he just attacks the ball when it's in the air, and also his route running ability. I'm a huge fan of the way he gets in and out of his breaks, and I just think he has. I know what his 40 time was, but I think he's more explosive than even what his 40 time would indicate. His game film speaks for itself. His game speed is there, and that's a guy, as far as like being a split end, that I think can even pretty much be a day one contributor if given the opportunity to. And I think that he's not given his just due in this draft class the way that he should.
What is it? Is it just as simple as there's so many people, like there's so many guys? Like, is that a guy? Is that why we're not looking at him the same way? I feel like that's the case with the quarterback. It's like it's so many
Yeah,
guys that all of these guys can't go in the first round, right?
absolutely.
Like if you had to pick a guy, and I'm putting you on the spot here, if you had to pick a guy that you think he will be better than out the gate, who's the guy?
I would say people are gonna kill me for this, bro.
Oh,
They're gonna
here we go.
kill
Because
me for
I
this.
think I know the name.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's what I thought you were going to
I,
say.
I think right out the gate, just because of his, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is savvy. Do not get me wrong, but I think because of his ability to get off press, his releases, the way he's just able to kind of, read the leverage, in the secondary, I think that this guy has an opportunity to contribute right away, and I think people are going to be blown away by his IQ, what he's able to do out there. Like I really think he's going to be one of those guys that people are going to be talking about and saying, "Oh, well, we never saw this coming." A lot of people did, and I really think that he has an opportunity to be good very early.
I think that a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. has a chance to struggle as a rookie, right?
For
I think
sure,
he has a chance to struggle as a rookie, but I also think he may have the highest ceiling of
absolutely,
anybody out here, right?
absolutely,
Like at his
absolutely.
best, he could be one of those guys that we all talk about as a walk right into the Hall of Fame kind of guy at the peak of what his powers could be.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it's just a simple, just plug him in right now and all of a sudden, he's a 1,200, 1,300 yard receiver. He's a 100 catch receiver. I don't think it's just that. It's just that simple. And
it's not plug and play. It's not plug and play.
And the one thing I don't think gets enough talk, right? Why don't we ever see him running away from people? Like, why don't we ever see him on a consistent basis catch like a slant and just take off on some people, right?
Like Xavier Leggett. We don't see that. We don't see, what we saw in Xavier Leggett from Harrison Jr. And, say what you will, but, if you have great speed, you want to show that off, right? Why give, I understand why he didn't run the 40, but if you are that guy, you're going to run that 40.
Absolutely.
So, because that's just the way a lot of sprinters think. That's the way people that are fast think. I'm going to show you what I can do and elevate my stock that much more.
It's a competitive nature, right? Like it's the competitive nature says, I want to compete and I want to show everybody that I'm the man. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. feels too curated to me, right? It feels almost as if he has a Hall of Fame father who's been through the game, understands how you can get pigeonholed or you can get. So I'm not criticizing. This isn't criticism for him not doing it, right? I think it's savvy. It's savvy business from a business standpoint.
I'm not killing him for that at all.
Absolutely. But the competitor in me is going, like if I was another, if I'm one of the top guys who ran the 40, I'm going, he was scared of the smoke. Right? That's what I'm doing. That's what my mind, that's as a competitor, I'm going, he's afraid of the smoke. He don't want it. He's not really about this the way he claims to be about this, right?
Or the way that people think that.
You know what? That's a better one.
Yeah.
The way that others think. I had a conversation. I was having a conversation with a guy in the Giant space, and shout out to the entertainer if he's watching or listening. Riptide Media, by the way, if you don't know, check it out. He's being put as a generational prospect. He's being put on the same level as Julio Jones.
Right.
Like on the same level as Randy Moss, on the same level as Larry Fitzgerald. Guys who were legitimate, I'm going to walk into the league and I'm going to kill it immediately. Right. Like, if his name was Michael Haverson Jr., do you think he's still this high up? Or do you think he'd be being talked about in the same light as the rest of all of these really good prospects?
Right. And I think that he'd be in the mix. He'd be where about Adonai Mitchell, guys like that. He'd be in that territory. I don't think we'd be talking about, he's a statue builder, type of guy. Or when it's all said and done, we're going to build statues of him. And that may be true in the end. We see the potential, but will that all come to fruition when it's all said and done? And there's some question marks there. There's some things about his game that need to be fleshed out. And I think, and I would bet that they will be, but I think it's just going to take a little bit of time and it's not going to be the immediate impact that a lot of people think.
So tell me, Brandon, what are you working on right now over at CBS? What are you guys doing?
So right now we're putting together draft prospects by position right now for fantasy football and dynasty, just trying to see, where they should be taken in the draft. So we're just doing some rankings at the moment and then just doing some scouting reports as well. So that's pretty much the long and short of what it is right now, just getting prepared for the draft.
Now, when you were working for The Athletic, you were doing pieces where you really got an opportunity to take a look in inside of the game.
Right.
Right. Like I don't just want to tell you, oh, this is what from a from a micro standpoint, I want to be able to give you the ins and outs of why, right? The why. So many times in fantasy we're missing the why. What's the one thing for a guy like Rome Odunze? What's the one thing for a guy like Malik Neighbors, for Marvin Harrison, for the top guys that you're looking at in fantasy and you say, oh, they're going to make a difference right now?
I would just say, number one, it's the mindset. Do they have that? And then you're not going to know that until, you see the demeanor and how they're interacting with teammates and things of that sort. When I used to be on a beat, that's the thing that I would look for. Do they have the type of mentality that's going to lend itself to being that type of guy when it's all said and done, or being able to contribute rather early on. Secondly is their habits, and what do they do? And also, do they have the type of player that's going to bring them along? A lot of guys are, when they go into a position room, they don't have the type of player that's going to bring them along because, hey, I got a family too, and it's a dog eat dog world, right? I'm trying to make sure my family eats, and I'm going to make sure I stay at the forefront of everything. And it's not going to be this rookie coming along and taking my job. But sometimes you get a veteran that will kind of help you along. And you see that, remember with Randy Moss and Chris Carter, what he did, took them under his wing. Is that the type of locker room where a guy is going to come in and the veterans are going to take him under his wing? Another thing that I look for is just, how do they digest the playbook? And those are the things that are going to, you'll get the reports, as they go along here. And when they get into OTAs and rookie OTAs and all of that stuff, how well they're doing. Are they ahead of schedule? Where are they? And those are the things you kind of take into account as you're accounting for or as you're predicting how they're going to be in fantasy, and so those are things you look for early on, and then you start to look for, all these traits that you saw in college and you like them, are those same things translating to the next level? And when they can play freely and all the things you saw in college start to transfer over early on, that is a good sign that you're going to see some of the things that you saw in college at the next level. And I'm thinking that a guy like Jermaine Burton is going to have a great year.
I look at things like contested catches, right?
Yeah.
If you're making contested catches at the collegiate level, that is a transferable skill.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you're making contested catches at the collegiate level, then there's a good chance that you're going to be able to make contested catches in the league. It's
sure.
Not like these DBs are all of a sudden, they just got longer arms.
They all came from the same place.
Absolutely. They all came from the same place. And I also believe that dominance always comes back, right? I liken this to Jalen Brunson, right? With the Knicks. Jalen Brunson wasn't a high draft pick because people thought he was already at his ceiling, that he wasn't going to be better as a pro. And my argument was always, well, he's killing all of these dudes that you say are going to be pros. So what's going to change when he's always going to be where he is,
the NBA is funny like that. I don't understand it, but yeah.
But the NFL has adopted a lot of that mentality.
You're right.
With players and their development. They're looking for what that guy's going to be rather than looking at what he is right now. And so I don't particularly care what you think he's going to be in 5 years if I'm a GM or a head coach, because I'm likely to not have a job in the NFL. It's called not for long. It's not just for the players.
Right.
It's for the coaches and the GMs as well.
Coaches in front offices too. Yeah.
So as a fantasy manager, if I'm looking at a rookie that I want to bring going in a dynasty format, I'm looking for guys who can hit the ground running right now. Guys who I can say, well, you know what, if he's in the right situation, or if he's in a stable situation, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the right situation. If he's in a stable situation, he's going to be able to produce. It might actually be better for some of these guys that these teams that are drafting high already have a quarterback that they have in place. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
As like if one of these wide receivers goes to Arizona without really understanding what their offense is going to look like next year, just having a veteran quarterback who understands the game and knows how to get the ball to talent
Right.
should definitely help them, as they continue to move forward. Is that kind of what you're looking at? Like, hey, depending upon one of these 5 or 6 receivers, people are saying anywhere between 7 might go, 6 to 7 might go in the first round.
First round, right.
Is it going to be, oh, well, he landed with this team, he's probably going to have the best season?
That's a great point also. And that's kind of one of the things I missed is that when you're looking at where these guys land, are they landing in great situations? Are they landing in positions where a coach will adopt to the skill set? Or will they try to force a square peg in a round hole type situation? So, and also, does this coach have a track record of adjusting to the players that he has at his disposal? So those are things I'm definitely looking for. Is the landing spot and also the quarterback wide receiver pairing. What does the receiver do well versus what does the quarterback do well? And sometimes those things don't mesh. So that's another thing to definitely take a look at.
Who's the smoothest receiver in this draft?
Smoothest? Man, that's a tough one. But I'm going to go with probably Roma Dooms. I really think Roma Dooms is one of the smoother receivers in this class.
Who is the most physical receiver in this draft? Not the biggest, but the most physical.
Not the biggest. I'm going to go with Malachi Corley. I think he's one of the more physical guys in this class, and I think it really shows up in his after-the-catch ability. You want to see that translate into him getting to his spots in his route running as well. But at the same time, I really think that he's one of the more physical guys out there.
Who's the receiver with all the tools in the toolbox?
I think we've discussed them ad nauseum. I think Jermaine Burton is one. That's one of the guys that I really like. But I think people are really sleep on McCaffrey. I really think this kid has potential. And I think a lot of people aren't really giving him his due because, he's the younger brother of somebody who's already doing well. But I think he has potential.
Is it just as simple as we just don't believe in him because he's a white wide receiver?
I think
does it come down to that? Let's keep it a buck, right?
He's a changed position guy. He was a quarterback at one point, now but I think that's really what's kind of helped him as well.
You think being a white receiver is actually giving him a little bit more notice?
No, I'm saying I think that him being a former quarterback.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is really what helped him because you understand what the quarterback is looking at. So I think that he knows where to settle in. I think that he's got an opportunity to really do some good things if he gets in the right spot there.
Who is the Puka Nacua of this draft class? The guy who nobody's talking about outside, the guy who's going to go day 3, and then all of a sudden we're going to look up and go, the guy that's going to be the undrafted wide receiver in fantasy that ends up getting picked up, and now he's out of here.
Man, I think and he's going to play inside. He's going to play in the slot, so he's not going to be one of the outside guys. But I think Malik Washington is a guy that I think people are going to really kind of be banging their head up against the wall, say, I should have given this guy more consideration because I think that he's quick as a hiccup. I think he has the ability to contribute on special teams, and he's also got more ability to play on outside than people think. So I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think people aren't really paying much attention to what he was able to do in college.